Hello and welcome to Immigration with Andrew. In this video, we will be discussing the DREAM Act. Great, so to be clear, today is January 7th of 2021. The DREAM Act I'm going to be discussing today is called the Dream and Promise Act, passed by the House in 2019. Obviously, we will have a new president in a couple of weeks, and both chambers of Congress now controlled by the Democrats. So I do expect the reintroduction of a version of this DREAM Act. But to be clear, and I'll repeat this 4 more times probably in this video, everything I'm discussing today is the DREAM Act passed by the House in 2019. The Senate introduced a similar bill in 2019 that, to my knowledge, did not even get to committee. So I'm going to focus today on the bill passed by the House, H.R. 6, because I believe that will be a template for a DREAM Act that I believe will be proposed and passed at some point within the next 2 years. So first I want to talk about the actual requirements for the DREAM Act, and then I want to discuss a little of the distinctions between the DREAM Act and DACA. So first, DREAM Act is a path to citizenship. DREAM Act provides this, again, the DREAM Act, Dream and Promise Act, passed by the House in 2019, provides for permanent residence on a conditional basis, is the bill's terminology, for people who have been in the United States for the 4 years before the bill is enacted, and who arrived before they turned 18. And those are the main requirements. DREAM Act, the idea is to provide a status for people who came to the United States as children. And so those are the requirements. Be here before you turned 18, and be here for the past 4 years, or in other words, for the 4 years going back from the date that the bill passes. So if the bill passes in 2021, then 2017. And again, here's reminder number 2. These are just the requirements laid out in the bill that was passed by the House in 2019. That bill with a new Congress would need to be reintroduced, amended, conference with the Senate, and so these requirements may not be the actual requirements that come out of the new bill. So those numbers may change, but for the bill in 2019, be here before you were 18, be here for the 4 years before the bill was enacted. So those are the main requirements. The criminal requirements, very similar to DACA, can't have any felonies, can't have 3 or more misdemeanors, and you can't have any domestic violence cases, felony or a misdemeanor. Misdemeanor here is defined as a crime under federal or state law, punishable by a term of incarceration of between 5 days and 1 year. And so if misdemeanors in your state can be punished by more than a year then that's going to count. That's going to count as a misdemeanor. Traffic offenses or offenses that have a maximum term of incarceration of under 5 days, then that does not count as a misdemeanor. So those are the requirements to get the lawful permanent status on a conditional basis. The education requirement, very similar to DACA, have to either be in school or have a diploma. And those are the requirements. Very similar to DACA, but instead of DACA providing just a work permit for 2 years, this provides a green card. They call it lawful permanent residence on a conditional basis, and that status, that permanent residence on a conditional basis, would be valid for 10 years. So those are the main requirements. So the obvious question, what does a conditional basis mean? How do you remove the conditions? So to remove the conditions, there are 3 ways to do it. You can have graduated from an institution of higher learning, like college, or been in college for 2 years. You can have worked in the United States for 3 years. or you can be in the military for 2 years, or be honorably discharged if you serve for 2 years. And those are how you remove the conditions. And the key here, and this is another distinction to the DACA. To remove the conditions, in other words, to become a full-blown lawful permanent resident with a green card, you have to do a medical exam, which I mentioned very briefly in the public charge video the other day. So do a medical exam and the English and civics exam that they apply for applicants to naturalization for citizenship, the citizenship test. So that's different from DACA. And if you do that, then you remove the conditions. You are no longer a permanent resident on a conditional basis. You are a lawful permanent resident. Once you're a lawful permanent resident, you can then apply for citizenship 5 years later. So it is a long road, of course, but it is a road to citizenship eventually. Special little caveat in this bill from 2019. Again, I'm only discussing the requirements laid out in the House bill that was passed in 2019. They have a special provision for folks who already have DACA. They can apply for permanent residence on a conditional basis for free. They're going to still have to fill out the form, but they won't have to fill out that fee. When they do file to remove the conditions, then they will have to pay the fee. But that's a little bonus there. And this was not obvious to me. I had to go back and read the law again. So to remove the conditions, you have to either have a diploma or be in college for 2 years, or have worked for 3 years, or be in the military for 2 years. So if at the time you get your permanent residence on a conditional basis, if you're already eligible to remove the conditions, then you can go right to that step. So it's a step directly to a green card for some of those folks. And so just to kind of review, I was peppering the differences throughout the little discussion there. Differences between DACA. DACA is only a work permit. DACA is only a work permit for 2 years. DACA is not permanent residence. DACA, you have to have come to the United States before you were 16. DACA, you have to have been here since June 15th of 2007 until present. So that's 14 years almost. There's no medical exam for DACA. There's no English test for DACA. With the DREAM Act, passed by the House in 2019, H.R. 6, you have to have been present for the 4 years back from when the bill was enacted. You have to have come to the United States before you were 18, not 16. There is a medical exam. It is a green card. There is an English and civics test, and it's a path to a citizenship. So those are the key requirements, and there are other smaller requirements, and there's another separate provision of the bill that I don't think is worth discussing now in 2021 until there's a new bill. And if there is, make sure to check out a video. I'll get a video up on that right away. That I do expect will be big news, but stay tuned.